Good evening. The tale you are about to hear is purely a work of fiction. I must stress, this is not real and is entirely imaginary. Do not be alarmed. Although they may be watching, the extraterrestrial visitors have not yet arrived. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to actual events, particularly those involving unexplained phenomena, government cover-ups, or mysterious disappearances, is purely coincidental. Enjoy the show.
Good evening, folks. Marion Crane here with your regional weather update on WZPA Broadcast 1. Tonight's forecast is clear and mild across most of the listening area, with a light breeze coming in from the southwest. We're seeing stable temperatures hovering in the mid-60s with cooler lows expected after midnight. Visibility is excellent, no storm systems on radar, and air quality readings remain comfortably within the green. So if you're headed out tonight, just grab a light jacket and maybe a flashlight. Days are getting shorter. Back to you in the studio, Daniel.
Thank you, Marion. Glad to hear we're getting at least one normal thing today. Here are tonight's headlines. Authorities are calling for calm after a string of elaborate crop circle hoaxes appeared overnight in fields outside Fairfield and Grinnell. Local pranksters are suspected, though no one has claimed responsibility. If you've seen unusual activity in rural areas, police are asking for your help. In more serious news, 2 adults have been reported missing from separate homes in Oak Ridge County. Both vanished sometime during the night, reportedly taken from their beds. If you have any information, please contact local authorities immediately. Meanwhile, President Thornhill has canceled his travel plans to the western region this week, citing logistical concerns and national security protocols. And finally, several local farmers have filed reports of trespassers loitering near their fields, described as tall figures standing motionless at the edge of corn rows, just watching. No arrests have been made, but rural patrols have increased. Keep your doors locked and stay alert. This is WZPA Broadcast 1. We will be back after a few words from our sponsors. Good evening, friends and neighbors. We begin tonight's broadcast not with a formal headline, but with something a little unusual. Over the past week, our newsroom has received a slow but steady trickle of strange calls from across the county. Folks reporting lights in the sky hovering, blinking, moving a little too precisely to be stars. One caller from outside Monroe said it looked like a slow-motion firefly the size of a barn. Now, we've heard stories like that before, especially during meteor showers or military test flights. But something about the timing and the tone feels different this time. The sightings aren't limited to one night or one area. They're coming from all directions and nearly always after midnight. What's more, we've gotten a handful of notes about unseasonable weather changes. Sudden fog banks rolling in even as forecasts call for clear skies. And then there's the talk about animals acting strangely, barn cats refusing to go outside, dogs barking at empty air, cows gathering at fence lines without reason. It could be nothing, or it could be something. To learn more, we now go live to Marion Crane, who's standing near a cornfield outside of Baxter, one of several locations where locals say something odd is going on.
Daniel, I'm standing just off a dirt road between Baxter and Colfax, where a group of teens claim to have spotted a strange pattern pressed into a nearby field. They posted a blurry photo on social media last night, what looked like swirls or loops in the corn, but when local authorities investigated this morning, the field looked untouched. No signs of entry, no damage. Still, that hasn't stopped neighbors from driving by to catch a glimpse. I spoke to one woman who swears the corn was moving in circles just before sunrise, even though there was no wind. She also said her radio briefly cut out and switched itself to a weather band she'd never heard before. There's definitely an air of curiosity more than concern out here. People are smiling, shaking their heads, wondering if it's some local prankster or maybe just kids with too much imagination. But then there are the other stories less public. A farmer who said his tractor GPS flickered and recalibrated in the middle of a straight row. A couple who woke up to find all their porch lights unscrewed, though no signs of entry or disturbance. The kind of details you don't report to the police, but you tell your neighbors about in hushed voices over coffee. And in a place like this, where everyone knows everyone, that kind of quiet talk spreads fast. Back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Marion. It's worth noting that this time of year brings with it a certain flair for storytelling. Long nights, dry air, the quiet of the corn rows. It's easy to let the imagination wander. Still, there's something about the consistency of these stories that gives us pause. Earlier today, we spoke with local radio operators who claim their bands have picked up bursts of static and tonal sequences not normally present in the frequencies they monitor. One amateur ham operator told us he heard a voice under the static, though when asked to replay the recording, the sound had vanished. At the same time, local dispatch logs show a slight increase in wellness checks and nighttime patrols, mostly precautionary. It's not panic, just curiosity, as if people are noticing things that don't quite fit into their daily rhythm. To help us better understand what we're seeing or think we're seeing, we reached out to someone who spent the better part of her career monitoring regional data anomalies. Joining us now from the Ames Research Cooperative is Dr. Judy Barton.
Thank you, Daniel. What we've observed recently isn't necessarily cause for alarm, but it is unusual. Specifically, we've detected low-frequency magnetic pulses in a few of our environmental sensors spread across the western half of the state. These pulses are subtle, almost background noise, but what makes them notable is their rhythm. They pulse in sets of 3, with a pause of roughly 8 seconds between each set. At first, we thought it was equipment error, but multiple stations have recorded the same sequences at roughly the same times. That kind of synchronicity usually points to a natural source, but we haven't yet identified one. We're also reviewing historical data to see if this has occurred in previous years and gone unnoticed. In terms of impact, there's no danger, but what I tell my students is, nature whispers before it speaks, and right now it's whispering in a voice we don't quite recognize. More research is needed, and we encourage local observers to document anything out of the ordinary, no matter how small it may seem.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. So where does that leave us? A few stories, some blurred photos, a handful of electrical blips and quiet conversations. Maybe it's nothing more than the usual rhythm of small-town life, long nights and curious minds. Or maybe it's something else. We'll continue to monitor these reports, and if anything changes, you'll hear it here first. For now, tuck in your kids, check your porch lights, and maybe, just maybe, take a look up before heading to bed. Something's out there, and it's watching just as quietly as we are. Good evening. We return tonight not with answers, but with more questions, more reports, more patterns, and a rising chorus of voices quietly wondering if something has shifted in our skies. For the second night in a row, residents from Polk to Jasper County have reported unusual disruptions, static-filled calls, dropped satellite signals, and a curious absence of stars overhead. Yes, an absence. Several callers last night noted that parts of the sky appeared to be completely blank, as if the stars had simply disappeared. Others said their telescopes couldn't find constellations they'd tracked for decades. It wasn't just cloudy, it was black, silent, still. And then there were the birds. Early this morning, dozens of residents woke to find starlings and sparrows strewn across porches and driveways, motionless, not mutilated, not attacked, just still. In some areas, wildlife officials say this can happen due to storms or shock waves, but no weather disturbances were recorded overnight. What then could cause this kind of mass behavior change? For more, we now go live to our field reporter Marion Crane, who's in Newton, at a community center now acting as a coordination point for missing persons inquiries.
Daniel, I'm here at the Newton Civic Center, where volunteers have been quietly collecting flyers and handwritten notes from family members looking for loved ones who, in their words, just didn't come home. At first, authorities believed this was connected to a local church event, a possible group trip, maybe even a series of runaways. But the stories don't line up. A woman in her 70s disappeared from her bed without her shoes. A teenager never made it home from a tutoring session. No signs of struggle, no packed bags, no phone pings. The common thread? The disappearances happened between 1 and 4 a.m., and in some cases, the front doors were still locked from the inside. One man I spoke to this afternoon, a truck driver, said his wife was in bed next to him when he drifted off. When he woke up, her side of the bed was cold. No sound, no lights, just gone. Law enforcement is staying quiet for now, citing the ongoing nature of the investigation, but locals are growing nervous. Not panicked yet, but alert, watchful. And tonight, many say they'll be sleeping with the lights on. Back to you, Daniel.
Thank you, Marion. A few minutes ago, we received word that communications crews across multiple counties are troubleshooting an unexplained failure in shortwave and satellite relays. It's not a total blackout, but intermittent outages have been reported by ham radio enthusiasts, dispatchers, and even television crews attempting to uplink footage. More curious still, weather satellites over the Midwest failed to return full telemetry overnight. Instead, they broadcasted back partially blacked out images as if something was between them and us. This has led some to speculate about solar activity, but NASA has not reported anything unusual. Here to help us sort through what we do know is Dr. Judy Barton, who joins us again from Ames with a quick update on the strange magnetic pulses she mentioned in yesterday's segment.
Daniel, what we've seen over the last 24 hours is a shift not in strength but in location. The magnetic pulses I mentioned yesterday have moved. The same pulse pattern, 3 low-frequency bursts spaced evenly, has now been recorded closer to population centres. It began outside of Baxter, then spread to Des Moines, and now we're seeing small echo patterns in the river valleys to the east. It's almost as if something is mapping terrain, scanning, though I want to be clear that's only a theory. We've also begun seeing temporary interference in GPS alignment. It's subtle, a tractor drifting a few inches off course, a drone veering left on a stable flight plan. Nothing dangerous, but enough to raise eyebrows. And then there's the frequency distortion. We picked up 2 signals at 3:12 a.m., static bands containing low rhythmic tones. The tones resemble Morse code but don't match any known language or pattern. Our team is continuing analysis, but I would urge residents to document anything strange. If your compass spins, your lights dim, or your pets act uneasy, log it. This isn't about panic, it's about patterns, and right now the data suggests we're in one. Thank you.
We appreciate your insights, Dr. Barton. Before we sign off tonight, we want to share something sent to our newsroom just minutes ago. It's a voicemail left by a woman in Grinnell who didn't leave a name. She said simply, "There are people standing at the edge of my yard. They haven't moved. I think they're watching the house." She didn't call back. We've sent authorities to check on her, but so far no response. Is it paranoia? A prank? Maybe, but maybe not. Either way, the quiet across our towns is getting louder. Stay alert. Stay close to home. We'll bring you more as it unfolds.
They don't want you to know this, but everything that's happening right now, every missing person, every blacked out star, every malfunctioned signal is part of a pattern that's been running in the background for decades. This isn't new. This isn't sudden. This isn't spontaneous. This is scripted. Have you noticed how the news is only telling you half the story? They show you the weird lights, the crop circles, the birds falling from the sky, but then they slap a joke on it and move on to the weather. They want you docile, distracted, and obedient. But let me ask you something. When's the last time you saw a full star field above your house? When's the last time your GPS didn't glitch out near the county lines? You think that's coincidence? No, it's calibration. They are tuning our environment like a piano before the big show, folks. The stars aren't disappearing. They're being blocked, masked, intentionally occluded. Look it up. Project Umbra, 1996, classified atmospheric scatter tech, meant to hide orbital movements from ground level view. Weather balloons, they said. Aurora Borealis, they said. Wake up. I'm telling you this because I care. You have the right to know the truth. The disappearances you're hearing about, those people didn't run away. They were taken, snatched right out of their beds while their pets barked and their clocks froze at 3:33 in the morning. Every single case. Why aren't the police talking about that timestamp? Why does every dash cam go fuzzy at the exact same moment in rural towns across the Midwest? Why are the cows mutilated but the fences left unbroken? Because they're not using roads. They come in from above. They come in from below. And they know we're watching. That's why it's happening more in open fields and farmland. Fewer cameras, fewer questions, fewer people to connect the dots. But I've been connecting them. I've been tracking this since 2003, back when the Department of Agriculture mysteriously bought 2.5 million gallons of iodine. Why does the Department of Agriculture need that much iodine? It doesn't. They knew what was coming. They've always known. Look at the broadcast frequencies. They've shifted. The 12 megahertz range used to be for experimental weather data. Now it's encrypted noise whispers you can barely hear under the static if you crank the dial. That's not weather data. That's instructional audio. They are coordinating in plain sight. I have audio files. I've decoded some. I played one for my dog, and she wouldn't go near me for 2 days. What do they hear that we can't? What are these frequencies doing to our brains? And what about the people you've been seeing lately? The ones that just stand there in the cornfields, motionless, facing the highway. You think those are pranksters? They don't blink. They don't move. I saw one 3 nights ago. Tall, thin, wrong. I threw a flashlight beam across his face, and there was nothing behind the eyes. Just shimmer, like water under moonlight. That's not human. That's infiltration. And now the scientists, oh God, the scientists, one of them smiled while describing a missing family. Who does that? They're either compromised, replaced, or hypnotized. But sure, just trust the experts, right? Because they've never lied to us before. This isn't an invasion. It's an unveiling. They're not arriving, they're revealing. And if you don't think they're already inside our infrastructure, then I have a microchipped cow to sell you. Why do you think there have been so many drills lately? Why are FEMA trucks parked outside abandoned schools? Why does the power blink at exactly 3:33 a.m. every few nights? Listen to me carefully. We're past prevention. We are now in the preparation stage. They know who talks. They know who questions. They might even be listening right now. And I don't care, because someone has to say it. This is not a warning anymore. It's an alarm. They're already here. They've always been here. But it's not too late to resist. Stay awake, stay armed, and stay loud. I'll be back tomorrow. If I'm still here, if I'm not, you'll know why.
Good evening. We begin tonight's broadcast with a series of truly unprecedented developments unfolding across the country. Reports are flooding in from metropolitan areas nationwide, sightings of large, silent aerial objects appearing in the sky without warning. These objects are not showing up on any commercial radar systems. Some eyewitnesses claim they just descended or flown in, but rather decloaked, as though they were already there. There are no military identifications on these crafts and no official explanation yet from federal agencies. Traffic across several major highways has come to a standstill. Civilians appear frozen in place, many abandoning their vehicles and looking to the sky. We are still working to verify the safety of those in close proximity to the crafts, but early reports suggest a total absence of sound or motion from the ships themselves. We now go live to Marion Crane, who is standing in downtown Cedar Bluff, where one of the largest sightings has occurred. Marion.
Thank you, Daniel. I'm here on the roof of a downtown medical center in Cedar Bluff, and I don't know how else to describe this except to say that something impossible is hanging in the sky above us. It is massive, at least 4 football fields wide, maybe larger, and it's just sitting there. There's no sound, no hum, no air displacement. It's like the ship appeared from nowhere and nobody saw it coming. The few people I've spoken with down below said they felt a pressure in their ears right before it happened, like a thunderclap that never landed. And then it was just there. We tried to get aerial footage, but all drones and helicopters have been grounded due to some kind of interference. Radios cut out, controls freeze. Local law enforcement has cordoned off a 10-block radius, though I'm not sure how much good that will do. I did speak with a paramedic who said several people fainted when the ship appeared, but there have been no injuries reported yet. Some are calling it a hoax, but Daniel, I can tell you with complete certainty there is nothing fake about this. I'm looking directly at something that should not exist. The underside of the craft is smooth, almost liquid-like, and every so often a ripple moves across it like heat shimmer. People are just staring, some in awe, some crying, others simply numb. I've never seen anything like this before, and I don't think anyone here has either. Daniel, back to you.
Thank you, Marian. We'll continue monitoring that situation closely and urge all residents in affected areas to remain indoors and avoid approaching these objects under any circumstance. At this time, we have received no official word from the White House or the Department of Defense. However, sources close to the situation tell us that national airspace has been locked down and all commercial flights rerouted. This is being treated as a coordinated, large-scale phenomenon. With so many crafts appearing in such a short time, speculation has begun to swirl across both social media and expert communities. Joining us now to provide some initial scientific context is Dr. Judy Barton, a physicist at the local observatory who has been studying anomalous energy readings in the region for the past several weeks. Judy?
Thanks, Daniel. What we're seeing tonight is something I've feared might be coming for a long time, though I never truly believed it would manifest like this. Over the past few weeks, we've recorded increasingly unstable electromagnetic signatures over Iowa and parts of the Great Plains, frequency inconsistent with any natural or man-made source. We believed at first it was solar interference or a rogue satellite leak, but the amplitude and resonance profiles were far too clean. Then came the power surges, the GPS anomalies, the vanishing stars, and now this. These crafts, whatever they are operating beyond any propulsion system known to science. They exhibit no sonic footprint, no visible exhaust, and their sudden appearance aligns precisely with known low-void energy distortions we've been tracking. What that means in plain terms is these objects may have been here longer than we realize. They could have been hovering above us in a cloaked state for hours, days, even longer. And if that's true, then this wasn't an arrival, it was a reveal. I want to be very clear, we do not yet understand what these ships are or who might be controlling them. But we do know that the technology involved is far beyond anything our civilization has produced. I advise calm, vigilance, and for all civilians to avoid speculation that leads to panic. But yes, Daniel, I believe this marks a turning point in human history, one we are not prepared for.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. We will continue to bring you live updates as we confirm more details. Tonight marks a new and uncertain moment, not just for our region, but for the world. What these objects are, where they've come from, and what their presence means remains a mystery. Our thoughts tonight are with all those who feel shaken, frightened, or uncertain. Stay indoors, stay informed, and stay safe. We expect to hear from the White House any moment. We will be back after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you very much. What we're seeing today is something the likes of which no one has ever seen ever in the history of this country or the world, quite frankly. These are remarkable, incredible events. Now let me be clear, we have the best people working on this. The best minds, top intelligence, tremendous scientists. Some people are calling them the best in the world, and I happen to agree. I was just on the phone with folks at NORAD, at NASA, the Pentagon, very smart people, very serious. They told me, Mr. President, you're not going to believe this. And you know what? I did believe it because I've seen the movies. War of the Worlds, Independence Day, Close Encounters, all great films, all classics. And guess what? They all show us what to expect. And we're ready, folks. We are absolutely ready. Let me say this to every American watching tonight. You are safe. Our military is on full alert. We have tremendous technology, the best the world has ever seen. We've got jets, we've got satellites, we've got things I'm not even allowed to talk about, but it's all in place. Everything's in motion. Now, I've spoken with the governors, I've spoken with the mayors, even the ones who don't like me very much. I told them, we have your back. We've got the tools, and we've got the will. What we're dealing with here is, well, we're not entirely sure yet, some kind of advanced technology, no markings, no sounds. It's strange, very strange, but we've got plans for this. Contingency plans, big plans, tremendous plans. I understand people are scared. I do. My wife's scared. My kids are scared. Even I'm a little scared, just a little. But you know what I said to them? I said, look, we've got the greatest people on earth handling this. Nobody handles a crisis like America. Nobody. And let me tell you, we've already scrambled jets, we've got surveillance, and we've deployed ground teams. No hostile actions have been taken. Nothing aggressive has happened. These crafts are quiet, they're floating, and they haven't moved. It's almost like they're watching us, or waiting. We don't know, but we're watching them right back. They said, Mr. President, how are you so calm? And I told them, because I've seen the movies, I've read the books, and I've got the very best popcorn. But seriously, folks, we've studied every scenario. We've got interagency meetings happening right now. I brought in the national scientist, Dr. Doyle. Brilliant guy, sounds like Alfred Hitchcock. Very calm, I like that. He says we might be looking at a kind of communication event, not an invasion. We don't know what they want yet, so we're staying calm, staying observant, and keeping every option on the table. To all Americans, stay indoors tonight. Don't panic. Stay with your families. Hug your kids. Check on your neighbors. And know that we will prevail. We always do. We faced wars, disasters, recessions, and political commercials, and we've always come out stronger. So no matter what comes next, we face it together. I will now be taking a few questions.
Mr. President, are you saying we've known about these ships before tonight?
Great question. Let me tell you something. Many people are saying they've seen strange lights, odd shapes, weird energy spikes over the past few months. Could be true. But tonight is the first time we've seen these things with our own eyes, everybody at once, and we're responding in real time. Tremendously fast, by the way, unbelievably fast.
Is this the beginning of an invasion, sir?
No one knows yet. But let me tell you, we're not seeing weapons. We're not seeing lasers or anything like that. So no, this is not Independence Day. Not yet, at least. And if it turns out to be like the movie, we'll be ready for that too. I already told General Morrison, you better give the best speech of your life if this goes down.
Why weren't we told sooner about the energy spikes and satellite failures?
Look, we didn't want to cause unnecessary panic. People freak out over snow forecasts, okay? Imagine telling them we've got flying saucers. We were investigating, quietly, carefully. Now that it's all out in the open, we're telling you everything we know. Transparency like never before.
Have there been any communications from the crafts?
Not yet. We're monitoring frequencies, radio waves, microwave bands, everything. And let me say, if they want to talk, we're ready to listen. But no messages so far. No lights, no signs, just silence. Like I said, watching, waiting.
What message would you send to whoever or whatever is in those ships?
I'd say welcome. We don't know what you're doing here, but we're listening. We're strong, we're prepared, but we're also curious. If you come in peace, we're ready to talk. If not, well, let's just say we've got a few surprises of our own. That's all the questions I have time for today. Stay calm, stay strong, stay American. And remember, we've got this.
So welcome back to the show, folks. We're joined today by someone I've been trying to get on the show for a while, Dr. Thomas Doyle. You've probably seen his name in a few headlines, maybe heard a soundbite or two on the news, but today we get to hear him unfiltered. Dr. Doyle, thank you for being here. Can you start by telling the audience who you are and what it is you do exactly?
Thank you, Sam. I am, for lack of a better term, one of those people the government calls when things go strange. My field lies in atmospheric science and celestial phenomena, though I've spent considerable time consulting on the more unusual aspects of space weather, electromagnetic disturbances, and unidentified aerial anomalies. I've advised defense committees, served on panels that don't officially exist, and seen data that frankly keeps me up at night. And now here we are, standing on the precipice of something I believe very few are prepared to comprehend.
That's wild. I gotta ask, what's your take on what we're seeing lately? People disappearing, lights in the sky, satellite outages. Is this natural? Is there a rational explanation? Or is this one of those things where we just say weather balloon and move on?
No, Sam, this is not weather balloon territory. What we are witnessing is a systematic unraveling of the known. First, we notice subtle magnetic distortions in the upper atmosphere, followed by rapidly vanishing data packets from monitoring stations, not deleted, vanished. Then came the infrared anomalies, patches of air that registered colder than anything we've recorded naturally on Earth. And then, well, people began to vanish. I don't say this lightly, but these disappearances correlate too neatly with certain spike patterns to be coincidence. And that's when we realized something was observing us.
Observing us? Like, you mean surveillance? Drones? Satellites? Stuff like that? Or are we talking something else?
No drone I've ever seen operates with this level of silence, invisibility, or intent. We have recordings, infrared only, of figures standing perfectly still just outside human vision range. Figures that do not emit heat, that do not blink, that vanish the moment light touches them. They are not ours, and I have reviewed, cross-referenced, and exhausted every terrestrial explanation. The conclusion, uncomfortable as it may be, is that we are being observed by something not of this Earth.
Man, that's insane. Okay, so then why now? Why the uptick in activity? Do you think we triggered something?
It is my belief that human technology, specifically our meddling with low-frequency skywave propagation, has acted as a beacon. Our planet emits signatures constantly, but recently we've begun to scream into the void with a kind of reckless intensity. We are no longer passive inhabitants. We are loud, bright, chaotic. Perhaps they were always watching, or perhaps they only just heard us. Either way, the escalation suggests we are moving from observation to something more direct.
All right, so let me just throw this out there. Is this hostile? Should people be scared?
Fear is useful, Sam, if it leads to caution. But panic will be the end of us. What I can say is this: the pattern suggests precision, not chaos. The missing people, they weren't random. They were geographically patterned, rural perimeters, low light zones, edges of civilization. That tells me this is a controlled study, or worse, a selection process. I've recommended immediate reduction in power grid visibility, shutdowns of high-frequency radio towers, and a full blackout of nighttime satellite beams. So far, I've been politely ignored.
Shocking. You mean the government's not taking you seriously?
They're listening. But listening is not the same as believing. There's still a perception that admitting the truth will cause more harm than good. I disagree. The people deserve context, even if they do not yet deserve certainty.
Okay, so then let's go full wild here. Best case scenario, what happens next? Worst case?
Best case, we've caught the attention of a non-hostile intelligence conducting observation. They remain hidden, withdraw, and we learn from this mistake. Worst case, this is the beginning of contact, and not the peaceful kind depicted in films. Not ships over monuments and friendly music. This would be strategic, silent, surgical, the kind of contact that ends before anyone realizes it began. I fear we are past the point of prevention and have entered the phase of consequence.
Wow, all right. So what should people do? I mean, average person, lock their doors, stay indoors?
Remain calm. Minimize visibility, turn off unnecessary electronics, avoid long trips at night, and stay in groups when possible. But most importantly, pay attention. If you feel watched, you probably are. If you see something strange, don't dismiss it. Trust your instincts, but don't follow your fear into isolation. The worst thing you can do is disappear quietly.
Heavy words, man. All right, final thought. If this is real, if they're really here, what do you think they want?
If I had to guess, to know us, to study us, and maybe they are not sure yet.
Well, that's one way to end a podcast. Dr. Thomas Doyle, thank you for your time and your honesty. Folks, stay safe out there. This has been Sam Loomis, signing off.
This is Daniel Plainview with Channel 7 Evening News. Reports are now pouring in from across the Tri-County area as thousands flee the city in a wave of panic and uncertainty. Highway exits are congested, small towns are overwhelmed with incoming traffic, and authorities are urging calm amid what some are calling an exodus. While there have been no new statements from the White House since the president's historic address, local officials are struggling to respond to growing fear on the ground. It seems clear the public remains unconvinced by assurances that everything is under control. We now go live to Marion Crane, who is speaking with people evacuating the city near Ridgeway Pass.
Daniel, I'm here just off State Road 14, where I've spoken to dozens of people who've been stuck in their vehicles for hours. Many are scared, frustrated, and angry, but overwhelmingly, what I'm hearing is confusion. One mother I spoke to said she saw what looked like a massive shape overhead last night, but it disappeared before she could photograph it. A local mechanic described hearing a low-frequency humming just before his power tools shorted out. And several people claim they've seen individuals in the woods just standing and watching, unmoving, silent. None of this can be confirmed, but the stories are consistent and growing in number. Daniel, people are scared, and many simply want to get as far away from the city as they can. Back to you.
Thank you, Marion. Those accounts are troubling, especially when compared with similar reports coming out of towns in neighboring states. While some believe the cloaked crafts seen days ago are still hovering in place, others argue they've since moved quietly and invisibly. Local power outages continue to spike and communications are faltering. For more insight on what may be causing these disruptions, we're joined now by Dr. Judy Barton, a local scientist who has been tracking these anomalies closely.
Thank you, Daniel. Based on recent field readings and triangulated sensor data, we believe that the presence of large electromagnetic signatures correlates directly with the onset of electrical disturbances. These patterns are not naturally occurring, nor are they consistent with terrestrial weather events. I hesitate to jump to conclusions, but the spatial data suggests that these objects, whatever they are positioning themselves around major population centers. That is not a coincidence. I would urge residents to stay indoors, avoid unnecessary travel, and report any unusual electromagnetic behavior to authorities. We are entering a critical phase where awareness may be our greatest defense.
Sobering words from Dr. Barton. We will continue to bring you the latest as we confirm more details. For now, remain cautious and tuned in. This is Daniel Plainview. Stay safe out there.
Welcome back, folks. You know me, I'm Sam Loomis, just a guy trying to figure this all out with the rest of you. We've had scientists, we've had reporters, and today we've got someone who says he saw this coming. Conspiracy researcher, podcast host, and former survivalist instructor Ned Logan. Ned, you've been yelling into the void for years. You finally get to say, I told you so, huh?
That's right, Sam. And let me tell you, the void is yelling back. People laughed when I said the skies were rigged, when I told them the government had contingency plans not for if, but for when. But what do we have now? Ships over cities, people vanishing, satellites going dark. You think that's coincidence? You think this just happened? No, no, no. This was architected, designed, allowed.
So you're saying this isn't an invasion, it's a rollout?
A scheduled unveiling, Sam. Look back, declassified documents in 1987 said they'd staged celestial events to bring the world together. That wasn't science fiction. That was groundwork. The Bilderbergers, the defense tech companies, the shadow governments, they've known about this for decades, and they cut deals, Sam. They made arrangements. You don't get floating monoliths overnight. You get them by opening the door and letting them in.
Wait, what do you mean? They let them in? You're talking about aliens, right? Not some metaphor?
I'm talking about a pact. Eisenhower made first contact. That's the rumor. But it didn't stop there. They've been trading tech for silence ever since. Fiber optics, microchips, stealth polymers, we didn't invent those. We reverse engineered them. And in exchange, abductions, cattle mutilations, surveillance infrastructure, and now the veil drops. They no longer need to cover, Sam, because control has shifted.
That's huge if true. But what makes you so sure this isn't just something new, something we just didn't see coming?
Because I've seen the map, Sam. FEMA zones align exactly with ship locations. Major cities being evacuated just happened to clear out surveillance blind spots. And the president's speech, we've seen the movies, that was a wink to those in the know, a reference to the blueprint. And who's covering the evacuations now? The same military contractors who were drilling domestic crisis response 2 months ago in Colorado. You think this wasn't planned?
Okay, slow down. Are you saying this was a joint operation, humans and whatever they are?
They've been here, Sam. Look at the hybrids. Look at the facial anomalies in leadership, the eye blinks on live TV, the sudden disappearances of whistleblowers. They walk among us. You think those people in the field saw ghosts? No, they saw their watchers, the silent ones, and the media. Oh, now they want to talk about lights and crop circles. Where were they when I had evidence, when I had witnesses?
If this has all been in motion, what's the end game, Ned? What's the goal?
Obedience. Unified planetary compliance. They wipe religion. They wipe borders. They make you ask permission to live. They're testing reactions now. Lights, ships, power cuts. Next, sleep interruptions. Dreams, middle triggers. They rewrite memory, Sam. They erase resistance. And it all starts with fear.
Man, I gotta admit, this sounds nuts. But part of me wonders, what if even a fraction of this is true?
Then we're already too late. The ships are the last phase. Before them came compliance, media distortion, pharmaceuticals that suppress intuitive thought. Now, anyone who resists gets labeled unstable. They'll shut this podcast down next. You'll vanish like the others. But the truth has mass, and it can't be erased forever.
Look, I don't know what's real anymore. I don't think any of us do. But I appreciate you coming on, Ned. Final thought, what should people do?
Wake up, shut off your phones, bury your electronics. Get away from urban centers. Build physical communities, face to face. And don't trust the sky, Sam. Don't look at it too long. They see you seeing them. And that's when they act.
Ned Logan, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether to laugh or cry, but I do know I'm going to triple check my windows tonight. Stay safe out there.
Good evening. We begin tonight's broadcast under what can only be described as an unprecedented level of uncertainty. Major cities have gone dark in rapid succession, beginning along the coasts and now creeping inland like a slow, coordinated pulse. We have no confirmation as to the source of these widespread blackouts, but communications with multiple metropolitan areas were severed within minutes of each other. Air traffic control has lost contact with dozens of passenger planes. We are not receiving signals from Chicago, Atlanta, or Denver. Nothing. No chatter, no lights, just silence. The president has yet to issue a follow-up statement following last week's national address. What began as isolated sightings of strange lights has become something else entirely. There are rumors now of shapes, forms in the sky, hovering silently before everything simply shuts off. We'll now go live to Marion Crane, who is standing just outside city limits. Marion.
Thank you, Daniel. I am standing roughly 6 miles west of what used to be the skyline of our city. I say used to be because, well, the entire city is now completely dark. I mean, no lights, no street lamps, no cars, nothing in the windows of homes or apartment buildings. It's just a black shape now, a silhouette. Earlier this evening, I was interviewing a family trying to leave town when everything behind them blinked out like someone pulled a plug. They ran. I stood still. I thought I saw something above the skyline, a wide structure that didn't move, just sat there like a lid over the whole city. There's no noise, no wind, just an unbearable silence. People are fleeing into the countryside, packing cars, pushing through fields. Some are stopping at churches and barns along the way, begging for somewhere to hide. I asked a man why he didn't drive further. He looked at me and said, "There's nowhere left to go. Something is coming, and whatever it is, it's already here."
We want to remind our viewers to remain calm and avoid speculation. We will provide verified updates as we receive them. But I would be remiss if I didn't share what we've been hearing from multiple amateur radio channels and shortwave relays. Descriptions of colossal structures in the sky, round, metallic, unmoving. One transmission compared them to mirrored coins held up to the sun. Others have reported a sound low like thunder heard before the lights vanish. Some believe it's a frequency, others say it's in their heads. Our phones are down, our satellite links are disrupted. We are for the first time flying blind. To help us understand what may be happening, we're joined again tonight by Dr. Judy Barton, a physicist at the Regional Observatory. Dr. Barton, thank you for being here. What are we witnessing?
Thank you, Daniel. I want to start by saying that nothing in our training, nothing in our models has prepared us for what we are seeing now. Over the past week, our instruments began picking up wideband fluctuations across the electromagnetic spectrum, interference that distorted or disabled everything from weather radar to basic GPS. We initially believed this was solar-related, perhaps a flare event, but the pattern was all wrong. And then came the structure sightings. I've personally reviewed footage and imagery taken just before signal loss, and what I see is not weather balloons, not drones, and not conventional aircraft. These are vast engineered systems, objects that hold position against wind currents, unanchored and motionless. I cannot speculate on origin, but I will say this: they are not natural, and they are not ours. Their arrival matches the signal disturbances. Their silence is deliberate. I don't know what their intent is, but they're watching us. Every time a city goes dark, one of those things is there first. We may be dealing with a pattern of pre-invasion or coordinated disruption, something meant to disorient before a larger move. I urge everyone to stay put, avoid city centres, conserve power, keep radios tuned to civil bands if possible. We are in a fragile moment, Daniel. The next 24 hours will tell us everything.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. You heard it here. Stay out of the dark. Stay out of the cities. For those of you listening without power, wherever you are, know that you're not alone. We'll continue to broadcast as long as we are able. The silence out there is loud, and it's closing in. We expect to hear from the White House any moment. Until then, stay safe. Good evening. If you're still with us tonight, then you already know the distance between what's happening in the cities and what's unfolding here at home has vanished. The line is gone. Reports now confirm movement. Yes, movement by the unidentified structures previously seen hovering silently over major cities. They are not stationary. They are shifting outward toward smaller towns, toward the outskirts, toward us. Emergency services have collapsed in many regions. Roads are clogged with abandoned vehicles. Entire neighborhoods lie empty. This is no longer a broadcast about something far away. This is local. We go now to Marion Crane, reporting from one of the last functioning traffic checkpoints near the interstate. Marion.
Daniel, what I'm seeing here is something I never expected in my lifetime. People are pouring out of small towns, rural homes, off-grid communities, anywhere within reach of the major roads. They've seen the lights too, they've seen the shapes. A man I just spoke with said he watched his barn roof lift completely off the foundation without a sound and then just float, hover before vanishing in a pulse of light. Another claimed his livestock simply froze, eyes wide, then collapsed. There is no siren, no warning, just quiet, followed by absence. The checkpoint itself is barely holding. National Guard vehicles are parked nearby but unmanned. Soldiers are standing in groups looking up. Something is in the sky above us. I can't describe it. It doesn't move, but you feel it watching. No sound, no heat, just pressure, like something leaning down from above. Daniel, if these things are spreading this far out, then no one is safe. They're not picking targets, they're sweeping.
Thank you, Mary. For those listening without video, we will continue to provide verbal descriptions of everything we can. The footage we just received from Marion's location shows what appears to be a wide disc, dark, metallic featureless hovering above a cornfield just off the interstate. It casts no shadow, but the light beneath it has altered. The colors are wrong. We're joined again tonight by Dr. Judy Barton. Doctor, we need answers. These objects, are they expanding their reach intentionally? Is this a pattern?
Yes, Daniel, I believe it is a pattern, mathematical. Since last night, our observatory team has tracked at least 17 separate shifts in position by the largest overhead structures. These were not random. They followed a path that spirals outward from major urban centres. It resembles a form of coverage mapping, like a search grid. And in the wake of each movement, we lose infrastructure, communications, and contact with the region. Whatever these things are, they appear to disable intentionally and efficiently. But what frightens me most isn't what we've seen, it's what we haven't. We've only been watching the skies, but if the reports from the countryside are accurate, if structures are disappearing, if people are vanishing, then this may not be an aerial phenomenon alone. Something is here on the ground. My advice to the public remains the same. Do not engage. Do not investigate strange lights, sounds, or disturbances. Avoid high ground. Avoid open spaces. Shelter underground if possible. Stay hidden and do not attempt to flee on foot. The safest place to be may not be far. It may simply be unseen.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. I want to take a moment now to speak not as a journalist, but as a person. If you're listening to this broadcast, you are part of a thread holding us together. I know you're scared. I am too. But we are still here. And as long as we are, we will keep speaking. We expect to hear from the White House shortly regarding the Defense Department's response. Please stay tuned, stay indoors, and stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My fellow Americans, people across this great nation, many of you are watching tonight from your homes, your shelters, even your basements. I know this has been a confusing time, a strange time, but let me be very clear. We are handling it. We have incredible people working on this. Scientists, generals, very smart people. The best, and folks, believe me, they're seeing things nobody ever thought possible. But we're not panicking. We don't do panic. We do strength. We do planning, and we do winning. That's what we do. I've just come from a meeting with our top military brass. Great people, truly. And we've activated a national defense protocol, the likes of which have never been seen before. I asked them straight up, do we have a plan? And they looked at me and they said, Mr. President, yes, sir, we do. And not just one plan. We've got backups for the backups, redundant systems, incredible technology, very expensive, very advanced. Nobody's ever seen it before. Now I know what everyone's thinking. You're watching these ships, these floating things, and you're wondering, is this like the movies? And I'll tell you something, we've seen the movies, we've studied the movies. Independence Day, War of the Worlds, Close Encounters, fantastic films, very informative. Our people took notes. We're not improvising. We're executing a beautiful, coordinated plan. Now, I've heard the rumors. People are saying we're losing cities, that everything's going dark. Fake news, tooingly exaggerated. Are there problems? Yes. Have some areas lost contact? Sure. But we're deploying forces, we're restoring power, and frankly, it's going very, very smoothly. Tremendous response effort. I spoke with the governors, every single one of them, and they are behind me 100%. We're doing what needs to be done. The media doesn't want to show you that. They want panic, chaos, but I want order, and that's what we're delivering. Now I want to thank our first responders, heroes, all of them. The police, the firefighters, the nurses, the truckers, even the farmers, especially the farmers. You keep working, we keep winning. So stay inside, stay calm. We are not losing this thing. We are America, and America doesn't back down. I will now be taking a few questions.
Mr. President, how do you explain the complete radio silence from several major cities? Are you saying nothing's gone wrong?
Wrong? Look, we're dealing with a very unusual situation. The silence is strategic. We've cut certain communications to prevent panic. You wouldn't understand, it's very technical, but I assure you our silence is golden.
Can you confirm if American troops have made contact with whatever is inside these crafts?
I don't want to get into specifics, but I will say we've made some incredible discoveries, tremendous findings. And let's just say we're not the only ones watching. They're watching too. And they're learning who they're dealing with. The best.
Is it true some areas have been told to shelter in place indefinitely with no government evacuation plan in place?
That's a total mischaracterization. We've given local leaders flexibility. That's leadership. I'm not going to micromanage every farm and suburb. That's not how we win. People need to use their instincts. I trust Americans to think for themselves.
Mr. President, have any weapons been effective against these objects?
I'm glad you asked. We've got some of the greatest weapons in the world. I'm not going to confirm what works and what doesn't, but let me tell you this. We've got surprises, big ones. They're not going to like what's coming next.
What do you say to the families who are missing loved ones, people who vanished from their homes without explanation?
It's terrible, truly heartbreaking, but we believe many of those people are safe. There are underground facilities, shelters, places of refuge. We're going to find them. We leave no one behind. That is all the questions I have time for today. Stay strong, stay proud, and remember, no one does it better than America. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, open your ears and still your hearts, for what I bring to you now is not comfort but clarity. The heavens have cracked, and what pours through is not of this earth. The sky trembles with unnatural light, the fields hum with a frequency no man can explain, and in the stillness of the night there comes a presence that makes the soul recoil. You felt it, yes you have. The silence has weight now, and that weight presses down like judgment. You thought the warnings were superstition, that prophecy was just ancient poetry. But look around, tell me now who's laughing. Look at the streets emptied in panic, the cities dimmed by fear, the fields where once we worked now dead and watched. They are above us, they are among us, and still some deny. You think your leaders can protect you, that speeches and jets will hold back what comes from beyond the stars? They can't even tell you the truth without trembling. These ships, these watchers, they are not lost travelers or friendly explorers. They are something older, something promised in flame and darkness, something that judges without words. You hear the noise, don't you? That low hum that lives in your walls, that static that creeps into your ears even when the power is out. That is the trumpet, not of men, but of revelation. I read the book and it tells me this, that the end does not come with fire, but with unknowing, with strange light and vanishing time. The seals are broken. One by one they fall. The first was confusion. The second was silence. The third was disappearance. And now the fourth, oh God, the fourth, it comes cloaked in light with no face, no name, no mercy. These are not beings, they are judgments. And we have earned them. We polluted his world, turned our backs on wonder, laughed at the divine, and now what watches us returns our gaze. We have made ourselves appetizing to the unknown. But there is still time. There is still a chance to kneel, to weep, to cry out into the great silence and hope he still listens. They do not knock, they enter. They do not speak, they burn. And when they arrive, it will not be with trumpets or welcome, it will be with taking. The shepherd has come, but so has the thief. And only one of them carries you home. The other feeds. You must cleanse your house, clear your thoughts, renounce the world and its foolish glitter. Throw away your devices, they are gateways now. Read from the old pages, the ones written in blood and light. You must understand that what comes now will not be stopped, only survived. I have seen them in my dreams, long fingers over the land, blotting out the sun, collecting souls like harvest. They do not care for your prayers unless those prayers are soaked in sincerity. Only a heart fully broken and surrendered might be spared. They are not aliens, they are consequences. We built our Babel and now the flood comes again. The moon has turned, the birds are gone, the sky forgets the stars. You still think this is science? You still think this is weather? Wake up! I do not say these things in hatred, but in desperation. I want you saved, I want you ready. Because when that final light descends, when the sky tears like old cloth, when the corn turns to ash and the rivers reverse, it will be too late to beg. Repent now, kneel now, cry out to the one who made you, not to stop what comes, but to find you in the dark when it arrives. For though these ships bring doom, his voice still whispers behind them, and in that whisper there may still be mercy. Good evening once again. I'm Daniel Plainview, and if you're still with us, if your radio still hums or your emergency stream still holds a signal, then consider this your lifeline. The streets of our towns are no longer quiet due to curfews, but due to confusion, panic, and something else, something colder. We are now receiving multiple credible reports of encounters, not just sightings, not just lights, but actual figures. People claim they are seeing beings, not shadows, not shapes, but tall, thin creatures, silent, still, watching. Entire neighborhoods have begun blackout collapses, not from energy surges, but from something more intentional, more selective. We've spoken with electrical workers who say grid failures are centered in high-density areas with early reports of sightings. Emergency services have gone dark in 3 counties. And yet above all this, those ships, those hovering titans remain still. They haven't moved since they revealed themselves, but we now believe they do not need to. We now go live to Marion Crane reporting from one of the affected neighborhoods where these entities have reportedly been seen moving among the shadows.
Daniel, I'm standing in what used to be the bustling outer edge of the residential zone, only a few miles from the downtown perimeter where that ship still sits like a silent monument. Everything here is dead, no lights, no hums, not even dogs barking. But the people who remain, they're not silent because of fear alone, Daniel. They're listening. They say they can hear something low beneath hearing, almost like breath or movement or thought. I just spoke to a family who hasn't left their basement in 2 days. They said last night, around what would have been midnight, their youngest son saw a figure standing at the back door, unmoving, just watching. He described it as tall, featureless, skin that shimmered in the dark like it was made of cold glass. They didn't sleep after that, and today they've boarded up everything and asked not to be named. Another neighbor described something else, a faint vibration in the air, like the whole block was being studied. Law enforcement will not enter the zone. Local officials have gone silent. The only people out here are the ones trying to leave or the ones too frozen to run. We have seen at least 3 more homes with their doors open and no one inside. Something is walking in these streets, Daniel, and it doesn't seem to need to knock back to you.
Thank you, Marion. I want to remind everyone listening that while reports remain unverified, they are consistent, and that in itself is terrifying. These are not lone calls from isolated individuals. These are clusters of description shared by people who don't know each other, and they are painting the same image: tall, soundless, watching. No known video has captured them clearly, and all footage we've seen is corrupted or drops signal entirely when these figures approach. Whatever these things are, they seem to understand our technology and how to silence it. To help make sense of what this might mean, we once again turn to someone we've relied on many times during this crisis, our local scientific voice, Dr. Judy Barton. Judy, you've been following every anomaly. What are we facing now?
Daniel, I want to be careful with my words because panic is not useful right now, but I will not downplay the reality of what we're seeing. These are not tricks of the light or confused trauma responses. The biology or lack of it that is being described does not align with any Earth-originating species, and the consistency of witness accounts suggests this is not mass hysteria. From a neurological standpoint, the human brain rarely invents identical anomalies across unconnected populations. The power loss phenomenon is especially troubling. It's not random, it's patterned. The blackout zones correlate almost exactly to population density, suggesting intentional disruption, almost like quarantines or observation labs. Daniel, I don't believe the ships need to move. I think what's moving is already down here, and if they are walking among us now, that means the invasion has already begun in ways we don't fully understand. And I fear that by the time we do understand it, it will be too late to respond in any meaningful way. I want to stress, keep calm, stay inside, and avoid areas where electronics fail suddenly. These places are not safe. And whatever you do, do not engage if you see one of these figures. We are beyond observation now. We are being tested.
Thank you, Dr. Barton. And thank you to those of you still listening, wherever you are, however you can. We are now in uncharted waters, not just as a nation, but as a species. We will continue to broadcast as long as we are able. For now, do not seek answers from the sky. They are already walking in your streets. And remember, we are not alone. We will continue to bring you every credible update. Stay alert, stay safe. We now return to emergency static programming until further notice.
Welcome back, folks. This is Sam Loomis coming to you from a small studio somewhere they haven't shut down yet. I know you've all been asking for this one, and I finally got him. Joining me today is the man who's been making waves online with his viral sermons and fire and brimstone warnings, Pastor Elijah Matthews. Pastor, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. It's no coincidence I'm here today, and it's no coincidence your listeners are tuned in right now. This is not just a moment in time, it's a reckoning. What we are witnessing is not a natural phenomenon, not military, not extraterrestrial curiosity. This is judgment. The world has turned its back on righteousness for too long, and now the veil is being lifted. These lights in the sky, the voices in the static, the disappearances, it's not science fiction, it's scripture being fulfilled.
Okay, let's slow it down a bit. When you say scripture being fulfilled, are you talking Revelations? I mean, we've had scientists on, we've had conspiracy guys on, but you're telling me this is divine?
Divine justice, Sam? Read Revelation chapter 6. The seals are breaking. The first was deception, the second was war, the third was famine, but now the fourth, the pale rider, death. He walks among us. And these so-called visitors, they are not visitors, they are agents of wrath, allowed by God for a time to show mankind the consequences of their idolatry. You think this is just another world crisis? No, this is the beginning of the end.
Man, you don't hold back. So you're saying these ships, those things people are seeing, they're part of prophecy?
Precisely. Ezekiel saw wheels within wheels. Isaiah spoke of beings from above with a power and fear that shook the earth. These are echoes of what we're seeing now. But it's not just about the imagery. It's the silence that followed, the empty skies, the blackouts, the loss of communication. God is removing his hand. He's letting us feel the full weight of what it means to live without him.
Okay, so let's say I buy into that. What do people do? What's your message to someone sitting at home right now, watching those crafts above their city and wondering if it's their last night?
Repent. Fall on your knees and cry out, not in fear of the aliens, not in fear of governments or darkness, but in fear of the Lord. We have a merciful God, Sam, but he's also just. This is the time to return to him. Turn off the news. Get away from the noise. Open your heart and confess. Salvation is not through science or weapons or bunkers. It's through grace.
All right. But I gotta ask, do you think it's too late? But have we already crossed the line?
For some, yes. There are cities that no longer respond. People vanishing into thin air, shadows in places they shouldn't be. The powers of this world cannot stop it. But for those who still hear, still seek, there's a window, a narrow gate. Get your house in order, not just your physical home, your spiritual one. Speak to your children, comfort your spouse, forgive your enemies. This is the hour of decision.
Man, that's heavy. I mean, I don't even know what to say to that. I've had guests come on the show and tell me the government's lying, the scientists are hiding things, but you're saying it's not just a cover-up, it's a cosmic verdict?
It is written. For too long, we've worshipped the works of our own hands. Technology, ego, the illusion of control. And now when it's all crumbling, we scramble like ants, hoping for salvation from the very things that led us here. But God does not abandon without warning. He sends voices, messengers, signs. I am only one of many, and I pray this message reaches whoever still has ears to hear.
I think a lot of people are listening now. Whether they believe you or not, they're listening. Any last words for them, Pastor?
When the sky splits open, and what you thought was science fiction becomes your living room window, remember this moment. Remember that someone told you the truth, and do not harden your hearts. Even now there is grace. Even now there is a hand reaching out. Take it.
Powerful stuff, man. That's Pastor Elijah Matthews, folks. We're going to take a short break, maybe light a candle, hug our families. Wherever you are, keep your eyes on the skies, and maybe on your soul too. Until next time, stay safe out there.
This is Daniel Plainview with breaking news, and I fear the worst has finally begun to unfold. We are now receiving confirmed reports, no longer rumors or grainy videos, but direct confirmations of local, ground-level incursions taking place across a widening radius of American towns and cities. This is no longer a mysterious event occurring in the upper atmosphere, no longer lights in the sky or silent craft floating over the countryside. This is an occupation, measured and deliberate. Our satellite feeds are being disrupted, our bandwidth is narrowing, and local affiliates are going dark one by one, but we are staying on air for as long as possible. We have Marion Crane live on the ground in West Haven. Marion, can you hear me?
Daniel, yes, I can hear you. I'm here. I'm standing on what used to be the main street of West Haven, though it barely resembles the place I grew up in. It's absolute chaos, Daniel. I can see fires burning 2 blocks down, abandoned cars scattered across the intersection like something out of a war zone. They're here, Daniel. They're walking down the streets, not floating, not observing from the sky, but walking. I use that word hesitantly because their movement is unlike anything I've seen, fluid and unnatural. They don't rush. They don't stagger. They just glide, like they've walked these roads before. They're tall, maybe 8 feet or more, and thin, almost like silhouettes wearing suits of bone and smoke. They scan everything with these long devices that give off a dull pulse of violet light. We tried to approach. We thought maybe, just maybe, we could communicate or get footage, but our camera operator was taken. Just taken. No scream. No sign of force. One moment he was adjusting his lens, and then there was just space where he had stood. No noise. No beam, just absence. There are people hiding in the shadows, Daniel, behind dumpsters, in parked cars, whispering Hail Marys and names of people who aren't answering their phones. I just passed a man who locked himself inside a minivan and was sobbing like a child. They're not attacking us, not in the way we imagined, not yet. But this isn't kindness, it's observation, study, like we're being cataloged for something bigger. Back to you.
Stay safe, Marion, please stay safe. We have reached out to FEMA, Homeland Security, state governors, even local police departments, and we've received nothing. Just silence or looped, pre-recorded messages. The emergency alert system has defaulted to archived audio from last year's wildfire evacuations. This is the vacuum where leadership should be, and in that vacuum, speculation has begun to rot into dread. Joining us now is Dr. Judy Barton, our science correspondent, who has been following this from the beginning. Dr. Barton, what are we really seeing?
Daniel, I wish I could give you a measured answer, something grounded in reason or precedent, but I no longer think the frameworks we rely on are useful here. I started this thinking it was a first contact event, maybe a miscommunication, a misunderstanding. But these entities, they're not here to speak. They are here to dismantle our world in silence. They treat us like an experiment already concluded, something being archived and cleared away. Their ships emit no heat signatures, their materials do not reflect light, their bodies seem to exist on the edge of visibility like they choose to be seen. We've recorded them bending light, suppressing sound, bypassing physical barriers as if they were made of fog. And yet nothing about them suggests curiosity. They move with a purpose we cannot decipher, and they are targeting specific structures with uncanny precision. The landings, if you can even call them that, are not random. They're appearing around hospitals, libraries, power substations, communication towers, and water treatment plants. They are dissecting the backbone of our society. This is data collection before the lights go out.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. God help us, I want to be wrong. More than anything, I want someone to interrupt this broadcast and tell me this is a drill, an elaborate test, a cruel but reversible mistake. But I've spent 3 decades on this side of the microphone, and I know what it sounds like when the world changes and no one's in charge. What we are hearing, what we are seeing, is the silence of leadership, the silence of the end of assumptions. If you are hearing this, if you still have power, a radio or a battery-powered receiver, please understand this. Tonight we crossed a line, and I don't know if there's a way back.
You think they just arrived? You think ships that size just show up over cities without anyone knowing? No, they've been here. They've always been here. You ever wonder why those underground tunnels under Denver Airport exist? Why presidents vanish for hours with no press access? Why whole zip codes lose power and no one's allowed to talk about it? They were prepping the world like a turkey on Thanksgiving, gutting us, stuffing us full of fake food, sedatives, and shiny toys to keep us quiet. And now the oven's preheated, and it's time to feast. Look around. Look at the footage they let you see. What about what they're not showing? Cities going dark with no explosions, just silence. Where did the people go? Why no screams? It's not an attack, it's a harvest. We've been tenderized. All that fluoride you mocked me for mentioning, that wasn't for your teeth, it was for your brain. They dumbed us down, kept us fat, sedated and divided. All the fighting online, left, right, up, down, red, blue, that was theater, a distraction. While we were arguing over tweets, they were building corridors through our skies. Don't you get it? The world leaders knew they were never in control. They're not even in charge anymore. You think Roger Thornhill is still the president? Have you seen him? He's a hologram, a puppet, maybe worse. They might have taken his mind or replaced him completely. I warned you in podcast 2. I told you about the noise frequencies. And now what? The skies are humming and no one can sleep, and the ones who do don't wake up. You call this normal? This is the end of the script, people, and there's no curtain call. The drones are flying again, triangular, silent, cloaked, but visible if you wear polarized lenses like I told you. You don't believe me? Try it. Go outside. See the sky for what it is. It's a net, a living mesh. They're weaving control right over our heads, and the ones they can't convert, they eliminate. I lost my team last night. People I trusted. They left the bunker for supplies. Never came back. But I saw the footage. They didn't vanish. They just froze mid-step, like their time stopped and the rest of the world kept moving. How do you fight that? Tell me. And the media keeps telling you it's an anomaly. Localized energy disruption. That's not science. It's cover. That's them trying to hold on to the narrative. There's no cavalry coming, folks. No plucky scientist with a laptop and a satellite uplink is going to save us. That's the movies. This is real. And in the real world, they win. Unless you unplug, turn off your phones, kill your Wi-Fi, bury your smart tech, stop feeding them your heat signature. They're mapping our emotions now, folks. Your fear is a beacon, and the more scared you get, the easier you are to find. That's why they let this panic spread. They want it. You're broadcasting your location every time you cry out. I know it sounds insane, but ask yourself who benefits from the chaos. And now they walk among us. I saw one on Main Street, no disguise, just drifting down the road like smoke wearing skin, and people smiled at it. They didn't even see. They didn't notice. Some part of their brain blocked it out. That's what we're up against. So this is my final warning before I go dark again. I'll be transmitting only in short bursts, analog only. If you're hearing this, you're still free, at least for now. Get underground, get quiet, get invisible, because they are not coming to negotiate, they're coming to erase.
We begin tonight with a heavy heart and an urgent warning. Communications from several cities, including our neighboring counties, have gone dark. No updates, no live feeds, no contact from emergency services. What we're witnessing may be the final moments of structure as we've known it. Reports continue to pour in, families gone, entire neighborhoods collapsed inward like they were never there. We don't know what they're using, or if it's a weapon at all. It doesn't seem like fire or bombs or even machines. It's just silence. Cold, sweeping silence that takes everything with it. There is no confirmed weakness. Nothing we've seen stops them. Our attempts at evacuation have only increased the chaos. At this time, we are urging anyone still watching to seek shelter below ground, stay out of sight, and refrain from using any high-energy electronics. We do not know what signals they're tracking, but power sources seem to attract them. And so we turn now to the only person who still answers our calls, Dr. Judy Barton. We go now to her, live, via direct analog uplink from an undisclosed location.
Daniel, I don't know how much time we have. We've lost contact with every facility I worked with, and I'm the only one left on our team still transmitting. They're not machines, Daniel. At least not machines the way we understand them. We assumed they were ships' engines with occupants. But what if the ships are the beings? What if the lights, the formations, the gravity shifts, what if that is their language? We don't understand them because they aren't trying to speak to us. They're operating, like farmers moving through a field. And we are not the farmers. I've watched people vanish, Daniel. Not disintegrate, not explode, just vanish. We can't track where they go, but we believe it isn't here. Not underground, not in the sky, just somewhere else. I've tried infrared magnetic resonance, even pulse mapping. None of it works anymore. Every scientific constant we rely on seems off. They've changed the rules, Daniel. This was never a war. Wars involve strategy, resistance. This is extermination. Quiet, surgical. They don't even see us as dangerous. But I want people to know I've stopped trying to fight them. I've started mapping safe zones, what few there are. Deep valleys, shielded caverns, old mines, places that muffle magnetic fields. It's not a solution, but it's a pause, a breath before the final moment. I'm not saying this to frighten people. I just want them to be smart. Get off the grid, get deep, get quiet. I don't know how much longer I can keep broadcasting, but I'll try as long as I can. I'm sorry I couldn't do more. End transmission.
We thank Dr. Barton for her bravery and clarity. Viewers, if you're still out there, if you can hear this, you are not alone, but you must act now. The enemy is not coming. The enemy is here. We are losing contact faster than we can speak. If you have a way to reach loved ones, do it now. If you can help someone reach shelter, do it. But do not attempt to leave your location unless it is absolutely necessary. There is no safe direction, only moments. We will continue to broadcast as long as we can. This is Daniel Plainview, for whoever is still listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, and whoever else is still out there, I wish I could come to you tonight with good news or even clarity, but all I have is the truth. The truth is, we don't know how much longer we have. We've lost contact with more than half the country. Entire cities gone dark. Los Angeles, Houston, Baltimore, Minneapolis, Denver. Not just power outages, not civil unrest. Gone. They're not there anymore. No heat signatures, no data flow, no human presence detected. And every time we send teams in, they don't come back. We've stopped sending teams. The military has fought valiantly, believe me, tremendous people. But this wasn't a battle we were prepared for. You've seen the movies, I've talked about them. War of the Worlds, Independence Day, Signs. But none of them showed this kind of silence. There are no giant machines, no countdowns, just erasure. They don't negotiate, they don't threaten. They appear and then we disappear, like shadows under floodlights. We always thought if they came, we'd rise together, that our ingenuity, our spirit would shine. And I think we did, I think we tried. But it wasn't enough, and that's no one's fault, not the soldiers, not the scientists, not even the doubters. We all did the best we could with what we had. I've spoken with no other world leaders, not in days. If they're still alive, I hope they're safe. But I have to assume, like us, they've gone silent. I am still in the White House. I've refused to leave, not because I think staying changes anything, but because if this is the end, if this is how we go, I want to be here when it happens. And if there's a chance, even the smallest chance, that someone hears this, I want you to know you were not forgotten. You mattered. All of you. If you're alive, stay quiet, stay hidden. Don't draw their attention. Don't try to fight them. We did, and we lost. But maybe survival, maybe that's the resistance now. Maybe staying silent is the loudest act we have left. This is President Roger Thornhill, and this may be the last time you hear my voice. May God protect what's left of us.
Good evening, or whatever word still fits. Communications are collapsing not just in scattered zones, but across entire regions. Power grids are down, broadcast towers gone. We're operating on backup transmitters scavenged from older equipment with no guarantee of how long they'll last. Our staff has thinned to a skeleton crew, and those of us still here are shaken. This may be one of the final formal broadcasts we're able to deliver. What we've witnessed today, what is moving across our skies, is no longer theoretical. The crafts are no longer static. They are gliding across cities, low, almost scraping rooftops. Entire blocks are vanishing, whole neighborhoods gone, leaving no debris, no fire, no signs of struggle. We've lost all contact with emergency services. Federal lines lead to static. Satellites are blinking out. The last official word we received was shelter in place, stay low, remain quiet. But even buried beneath a dozen floors of reinforced steel, we feel it, a deep, constant hum, low enough to shake water, high enough to feel like it's inside your skull. Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. We now go live to Marion Crane. She is still transmitting. She is still out there.
Daniel, I'm still here, but I don't know how much longer I can stay connected. I haven't stopped moving. Every time I pause, something changes behind me. I saw an entire town disappear, not fade, not collapse, just gone. There were cars in motion, a child's bike on the sidewalk, meals still warm on tables. I turned away for a second and the street was nothing but wind. The crafts are larger than we thought. They're not discs, they're vast, floating spheres, metallic but fluid, glowing with pulses like a heartbeat. And inside them, there are silhouettes. Dozens, hundreds, standing still, watching everything. They move without sound, without smoke. They cast no shadows. I was running alongside a man. He was barefoot, bleeding, shouting his wife's name. But I don't want to die out here alone, Daniel. I just want someone to hear me. Back to you.
Marion, if you're still hearing me, keep going. Please, don't stop. To those of you still listening, if any signal is reaching your home, your car, your bunker, understand this. We are in the final phase. The world you remember is not coming back. The rhythm of traffic, the flicker of neon signs, the laughter echoing through crowded restaurants, it's all gone. What's left now is foreign, indifferent, possibly intelligent, certainly overwhelming. Were we warned? Were we tested? Were we dismissed? I don't have the answers anymore. I'm just a man reading into a void. But if these are my final words, then let them be this. We told the truth. Every night, we came here and reported what we saw. I don't know if it made a difference. I hope it did. I truly hope it did. This is Daniel Plainview. Good night, and may whatever still listens be kind.
Hey, this is Sam Loomis. I don't know if anyone's still out there. I haven't heard from anyone in over 2 days. No guests, no chatter, not even static, just silence. I'm in a basement. I think it used to be a wine cellar. Never liked wine, but the walls are thick and it's cold and more importantly, quiet. I've got 3 candles left. One's already halfway down. The generator's dead, and I smashed my phone because it lit up when I didn't want it to. I haven't been outside, not since the light came down in my street. It was like someone erasing the world with a flashlight. No sound, no vibration, just a soft shimmer, and then everything was gone. I saw my neighbor walk into it. He didn't scream, he didn't even turn. He just stepped forward, and there was nothing. I used to think I'd go down shouting. I thought I'd be broadcasting until they kicked down the door, but I think that already happened, just not to me. Everyone else was louder, braver. And now it's just me whispering into this mic because I can't stand the silence anymore. I've stopped trying to make sense of it. The scientist couldn't, the president couldn't, the preacher cried blood on air and vanished. Judy Barton's last words were don't run. Ned Logan's were wake up. Thomas Doyle just sighed and said, this is it. I thought I'd feel rage, panic, terror, some big final emotion, but I think the end is small. It's hiding under a table with no socks on because it's cold. It's talking to a mic that isn't plugged into anything useful. I don't know if you'll hear this. I don't know if anyone will. But if you do, if there's someone out there, just breathe. Don't talk. Don't shine a light. Don't even whisper. Just breathe. That might be the only resistance we have left. No declarations, no speeches, just being here. So I'm going to stop talking now. And I'm going to sit here with the last bit of candlelight. I hope you do too. Good night.
You think this is the end? You think it's over because the skies are black and the streets are silent? You think just because their machines are hovering in our skies, because your leaders are hiding in bunkers and your neighbors are gone, that you've reached the end of the story? No, no, no. This is the start of the real chapter, the one they never wanted you to read, the one they've buried under decades of distractions and pharmaceuticals and television reruns and junk food and lies, so many lies. They told you to look at the stars. And while you were pointing up, they were already here, inside your systems, inside your heads, in the vaccines, in the water, in the goddamn dreams you thought were yours. You trusted science. You trusted government. You trusted celebrities, for crying out loud. They bought you with Wi-Fi and sugar and let you die in front of screens while they mapped every inch of your blood. You didn't even notice when the sky stopped showing birds or when the air started to taste like aluminum. You called me crazy when I warned you about the energy pulses, the missing children, the magnetic resonance in our bones. And now you hear the hum, don't you? That low, bone-deep vibration that makes your skin crawl. That's not feedback, folks. That's communication. That's them syncing your body to their frequency. You ever wonder why you feel calm while everything falls apart? That's not peace, that's programming. They don't need to shoot you. They've pacified you with sound, like cattle lining up to be tagged and skinned. They told you disclosure would come. They said soon for years, but disclosure never needed to come. You were living in it. You paid taxes into it. You bought subscriptions to your own surveillance. You wore the wires willingly. Smartphones, smart homes, smart coffins. Now look around. Where are the heroes? Where are the soldiers? They're gone. Just gone. Not dead. Taken, disassembled, repurposed. And now you sit there thinking, what do I do? Who do I listen to? Listen to yourself. Wake up. If your mind is still yours, if your thoughts haven't been hijacked, then you fight. You scream. You resist. You stay unpredictable. Don't follow routines. They map your predictability. Don't go to familiar places. They're hurting zones. You want to live? Then unlearn everything. Turn off the light, burn your IDs, forget the damn algorithms. You won't find safety in what you built. That's exactly where they want you. We are livestock to them, conscious enough to obey, dull enough to die quietly. Not me, not Ned Logan. I'm in a shack buried under lead with no lights and a voice recorder running on batteries I made myself. I've got 2 weeks of water and a single rifle that jams half the time. I know I won't make it out. I'm not naive, but maybe my voice does. Maybe this broadcast cuts through the static just long enough for one person, just one person to remember who they were before the conditioning. You were more than followers. You were wild. You were dangerous. They feared you once. Don't you remember that? They built this system because of you, because you were unpredictable, because you were beautiful in your chaos, and now you're gone. But if you're still out there, if this voice hits your ears before the silence swallows everything, then listen. You are not alone, not yet. And that sliver of defiance inside you, that heartbeat you think is fear, that's freedom trying to remember itself. Don't let them have it. Logan out.
My name is Pastor Elijah Matthews, and if this voice still carries through the airwaves, then know this: I am not afraid. I am not alone, and neither are you. I speak now not from a pulpit of polished wood or beneath stained glass windows, but from the ruins of what was, beneath a sky that no longer holds back the unknown. And yet I still speak, because the Word was in the beginning, and the Word will be in the end. In John 1:5 it is written, "The light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not." That is the verse I hold closest now, because though the sun is hidden and the moon gives no light, though the stars have gone silent and the clouds now breathe, we, God's children, still shine. I have seen fear wrap its fingers around the hearts of the faithful, and I have seen that fear yield to courage born not of flesh but of spirit. The Bible tells us again and again, be not afraid. God said it to Joshua before Jericho, to Mary before the manger, and I say it to you now in this valley of shadows, this final hour, be not afraid. For Psalm 46 declares, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth be removed, and the earth has been removed. It groans beneath our feet. It trembles beneath foreign stars. But God is unmoved. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the author of our breath and the keeper of our last heartbeat. So I will not curse the sky, no matter what walks across it. I will not bow to silence, even as it falls over cities. I will not surrender my voice to fear, for it belongs to the Lord. And if He calls it home tonight, then let it go singing. I have seen the wind change direction mid-prayer, and I have seen widows speak the name of Jesus with more power than any general. I have seen the book passed hand to trembling hand under candlelight, pages torn but never forgotten. And I have seen miracles, not the parting of seas or burning bushes, but quiet ones. A child sharing bread, a soldier laying down arms, a mother refusing to let go of her son's name. This is our gospel now. Not just words printed in red, but living truth written across our choices. Revelation 21 says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away." I do not know if what comes next is judgment or mercy. I do not pretend to know if these beings are scourge or scribe, serpent or trumpet, but I know who watches them. I know who stands above them. And I know that even now, especially now, we are being seen, not just by cameras or satellites, but by God Himself. So live like He's watching. Love like He's watching. Die if you must, but die with Scripture on your tongue. When you close your eyes, let it be with the confidence of Romans 8:38. For I am persuaded that neither death nor life nor angels nor principalities shall be able to separate us from the love of God. Not even this, not even them. They may walk through our cities, dismantle our power, erase our structures, but they cannot steal what we gave to God. They cannot undo Calvary. They cannot unwrite grace. If this is the end of days, then so be it. We were told there would be signs in the heavens and distress among nations. We were told there would be trumpets and plagues and silence. But we were also told He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. I still believe that. I believe it for you. I believe it for the ones we've lost. And I believe it for myself. My name is Pastor Elijah Matthews. And if this is to be the final sermon I ever give, then let it be a call to faith, not fear. Let it echo into whatever future remains that we did not bend. We stood, and we believed. Amen.
My name is Thomas Doyle, and if you're hearing this, it means you've either outlasted the world, or the world has simply become quiet enough for my voice to find you. I speak now not as a leader nor a survivor, but as a scientist, a man who devoted his life to observing the rhythms of the universe with the hopeful arrogance that we were a part of them. For decades, I chased patterns in the stars and anomalies in the static, believing that truth could be found in the data, in the curve of a comet's path, or the strange silence of a disappearing frequency. But this was not a variable I could measure. When the atmosphere changed and the signals fell to hush, we thought it was interference, a flare, a glitch. But nature, as I've come to understand, is never careless. Only we filled the sky with noise, light, metal, intent, believing the stars would blink back in admiration. We launched our messages into the void and mistook the echo for a handshake, but the void was already occupied. They were here long before our questions. They watched while we invented answers, and when the time came, they did not speak, they acted. We called them visitors, invaders. But perhaps they are neither. Perhaps they are archivists, examiners of life, so brief and loud it needed to be studied before it vanished. They did not destroy us with fire. They observed, measured, extracted, studied. They did not rage. They did not boast. They simply took what they had come for, with the precision of biology, not the chaos of war. We were not defeated. We were outgrown. I watched nations fall silent, not in screams, but in static. I saw cities emptied as if erased by the back of a careful hand. No blood, no fire, just absence. We waited for the sound of apocalypse, but instead we were given a whisper, a low hum that sank into our bones and told us everything was already over. And so, in these final breaths of broadcast, let me offer not panic, but perspective. If this was the end, it was an end written in study, not slaughter. We were not punished, we were examined, and perhaps in some distant archive, we are now a case file. Our thoughts, our wars, our music, all catalogued beside insects and atmospheres and ocean currents from other worlds. And maybe that is a kind of immortality, not the one we wanted, perhaps, but the one we earned, because for all our faults, we loved, we created, we reached beyond ourselves. We made art in the dirt and lit fires on the moon. And even as the walls close in, I find myself grateful to have witnessed it, to have been a thread in this great unraveling tapestry. We were flawed, but we were extraordinary. So to whoever or whatever studies this frequency later, know this: we were here, we looked up, we dared to wonder, and if you are now the keeper of our memory, carry it gently. Let us be more than a cautionary tale. Let us be a moment of meaning in the infinite. My name is Thomas Doyle, and I leave you not with an answer, but a question. If intelligence visited us and chose not to speak, what did they already know about the sound of our voices?